Hi, my name is Bo Tamanini, and I'm a junior nursing student here at Bloomsburg. The topic I chose was the nuclear crisis in North Korea, and I chose this topic because of its popularity in our media and wanted to expand upon how it all began and where it is today. As you can see, here is an example of North Korean propaganda, and it shows how the citizens of North Korea are trained to see the U.S. as an enemy. So, many of you are probably wondering how it all began. In the beginning, North Korean hatred and vengeance against the United States began during the Korean War in 1950 to 1953. During the Korean War, American airplanes dropped about 635,000 tons of explosives on North Korea, including 32,000 tons of napalm. The relentless bombing and airstrikes on North Korea during the Korean War are viewed by the country as the original sin of the United States in North Korean propaganda. The continued fear of the deadly U.S. military airstrikes helps the North Korean government portray Americans as a faraway caricature, and if you're unfamiliar with the word caricature, it means a faceless enemy that leveled their country and could do so again. Historians believe the Korean War began when the North invaded the South, led by the eldest member of the Kim family. But what does North Korea teach its citizens? North Korea teaches its citizens that the United States started the war, and only the leading family, the Kims, can protect them from the United States. This fosters an unrelentless hatred for the United States, fueled by false media and propaganda for citizens of all ages. The country truly believes that nuclear weapons are necessary for the survival of their regime. Next, I'm going to talk about the Non-Proliferation Treaty and the Agreed Framework. So in 1985, North Korea signs the Non-Proliferation Treaty, also known as the NPT. This is a landmark international treaty whose objective is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and weapons technology, to promote cooperation in the peaceful uses of nuclear energy, and further the goal of achieving nuclear disarmament and general and complete disarmament. 191 states have joined the treaty so far. In 1994, North Korea announced intent to withdraw from the NPT. So, as many of you guys would think, this was a huge red flag to everybody in the United Nations and to anyone who's already joined the treaty. The United States then stepped in and signs the Agreed Framework, which calls upon Pyongyang to freeze operation and construction of nuclear reactors suspected of being part of a covert nuclear weapons program in exchange for 2 proliferation-resistant nuclear power reactors. So we were trying to just work with them and figure out a deal that works for everyone in a peaceful manner. So the Agreed Framework worked to temporarily freeze North Korea's attempt at nuclear proliferation, and experts believe that without this framework, North Korea would have hundreds of nuclear weapons at this point in time. So really these two things just slowed down the progression of North Korea arming themselves with nuclear weapons. In 2002, in January, George Bush calls Iran, Iraq, and North Korea the axis of evil in his State of the Union address. October Bush administration announces North Korea has been operating a secret weapons program in violation of the NPT. So now they are armed and dangerous. So more about the armed and dangerous. 2003, January. North Korea withdraws from the NPT. They are no longer restricting the weapon proliferation. They can make as many nuclear weapons now as they want. So in February, USA confirms North Korea has reactivated a nuclear reactor capable of producing plutonium for use in nuclear weapons. And then in April, North Korea declares it's armed with nuclear weapons. So you can see how fast, they went from withdrawing from the NPT to reactivating another nuclear reactor, and then they already had nuclear weapons, in just the span of a few months. So in 2005, North Korea says it will give up its nuclear weapons and all of its existing nuclear programs, would rejoin the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and would allow inspections again by the UN's International Atomic Energy Agency. Energy assistance would be provided by the US, China, Japan, Russia, and South Korea in exchanges as well to promote economic cooperation with the country. So again, we're just providing deals for them to just try to neutralize them in a peaceful way and to prevent any sort of tension with them. And then in 2006, North Korea test fires a long-range missile despite condemnation from the United Nations and claimed to have successfully tested its first weapon. The UN now places sanctions on North Korea as the result. So this really started this never-ending cycle. In 2007 and 2008, back and forth, North Korea closes the main reactor in exchange for another aid package from the United Nations, signs a deal to disable all weapons facilities but misses the deadline. So they just had all these shortcomings and they weren't cooperating with anyone. And then on October 11, 2008, North Korea is removed from the U.S. list of states that sponsor terrorism. Six-party talks commence, including USA, North Korea, China, South Korea, Russia, and Japan. North Korea refuses to allow international inspectors free access to inspect their nuclear sites. So that automatically says that they're hiding something and they don't want the United Nations and everybody to know about it. So in 2009, North Korea conducts its second nuclear test. So where are we now? In January 2017, North Korea proposes beginning to test an intercontinental missile. The U.S. Defense Secretary announces the United States, who has military bases in South Korea, will shoot down any missile fired by North Korea. But it also initiates that we need to up our game on defense because they are really starting to get out of hand. So the USA announces new sea-based radar to detect long-range missiles from North Korea. In July 2017, North Korea successfully launches its first intercontinental ballistic missile, threatens to strike the heart of the U.S. if the United States tries to remove Kim as the supreme leader. Remember, all the citizens in North Korea truly believe that their leader is God and everything he says is true. They still believe that nuclear warfare is the only way to protect their isolated regime. In August 2017, North Korea accuses the United States of trying again to start war on the Korean Peninsula after the UN adopted new sanctions against North Korea following the ICBM launch in July. And then in September 2017, North Korea tests another nuclear missile that causes a 6.3 magnitude seismic event, or earthquake. They claim this is a device that resembles a hydrogen bomb attached to an ICBM and would be 100 times stronger than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. So furthermore, with where we are now. As of now, officials believe ground invasion is the only way to eliminate the nuclear threat posed by North Korea. We have to get some soldiers in there to disarm and neutralize their weapons. So diplomacy remains the preferred option for dealing with North Korea, but as the threat grows, this may not be an option any longer. The United States officials are assessing consequences of war against North Korea. Some of the questions that they're asking themselves are, is a nuclear attack worth deploying by the Americans on North Korea? Are counterattacks going to have a possibility of North Korea attacking South Korea? And can we eliminate the missiles in North Korea with our ground troops? This is a very complex situation that requires cooperation from many countries for success. Especially with China's economic pressure, they have to really work with the United Nations and the U.S. to resolve this problem. And then South Korea has to cooperate with the U.S. military as well. So, to conclude this presentation, I'd like to say that the answer to neutralizing the threat in North Korea is an ongoing process that requires the cooperation of many countries for total success, as well as the removal of Kim as the supreme leader. This will not be an easy feat, and hopefully we can accomplish this before North Korea initiates any sort of war with the United States or any other country.